I just signed a $10 million contract and came home to tell my family. But my sister pushed me down the stairs. And when I woke up in the hospital, my parents said I deserved it. Days later, my whole family came to mock me. But when they saw who stood next to me, Dad screamed, "Oh my God, it's the envelope in my purse," felt like it weighed nothing and everything at the same time. $10 million. A decade of 18-hour days, missed holidays, and sacrificed friendships had finally paid off. My tech startup, CodeStream, had just been acquired by one of the biggest software companies in Silicon Valley. And I was walking into my childhood home with news that would change everything. "Mom, Dad, anyone home?" I called out, my voice echoing through the familiar hallway lined with family photos. Funny how most of those pictures featured my younger sister Vanessa at her various beauty pageants and cotillions, while I appeared maybe once or twice, always in the background wearing my usual hoodie and jeans. "We're in the living room, Claire." My mother's voice drifted from around the corner, carrying that particular tone of disappointment she'd perfected over the years whenever she addressed me. I walked in to find the entire family gathered. Dad sat in his leather recliner, the newspaper open, but clearly unread. Mom perched on the edge of the sofa like she was posing for a portrait, and there was Vanessa, my 26-year-old sister, draped across the love seat in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent before today. You'll never believe what just happened. I started unable to keep the smile off my face. I closed the deal. CodeStream got acquired, and I can this wait. Vanessa cut me off, examining her manicured nails. We're discussing my engagement party. Bradley's parents want to rent out the entire country club, Bradley proposed. I tried to sound enthusiastic, though my heart sank a little. This was supposed to be my moment. 2 weeks ago, Mom said curtly, "You would have known if you ever bothered to visit." Unlike some people, Vanessa understands the importance of family. The familiar sting of their words settled in my chest, but I pushed forward. "That's wonderful, really. But I need to tell you all something important. The acquisition went through. I'm walking away with $10 million. The room fell silent. Dad's newspaper slowly lowered. Mom's mouth hung open slightly. Vanessa sat up straight, her eyes narrowing. $10 million? Dad repeated, his voice. "You're saying you sold that little computer thing you've been wasting your time on for $10 million. It wasn't a waste of time. CodeStream revolutionized project management software for small businesses. We had over 50,000 users before the acquisition." "And how much did you say?" Mom interrupted. Her tone completely changed. $10 million. Yes. The contracts are signed. The money will transfer within 30 days. But it's done. I wanted you all to know. I thought maybe we could celebrate together. I felt foolish saying it out loud, hoping for their approval after all these years of dismissal. Vanessa stood abruptly, her face flushed red. "This is ridiculous. You made $10 million? You're the family embarrassment. The daughter who couldn't even get a real job. The one who lived in that disgusting apartment in the Mission District working on a stupid app nobody cared about." "People did care," I said quietly. 50,000 people cared. And now one of the biggest companies in the world cares. This isn't fair." Vanessa shrieked, and I saw something dangerous flash across her face. "You don't deserve this. You don't deserve anything. You're nobody. You've always been nobody." She moved toward me, and I instinctively took a step back. My heel caught on the edge of a hallway runner. For a split second, I felt weightless. Then I saw Vanessa's hands come up, and she shoved me hard in the chest. The world tilted. I was falling backward down the stairs. As I climbed 1,000 times as a child, my head cracked against the edge of a step and another. Pain exploded through my skull. My shoulder twisted at an unnatural angle. Everything spun in a sickening kaleidoscope of beige carpet and white walls. I heard screaming. Mine, maybe, or Vanessa's. Everything went dark. When consciousness returned, I was staring at fluorescent lights that hurt my eyes. The steady beep of monitors filled my ears. My entire body felt like it had been shattered and poorly reassembled. "She's awake," someone said. A nurse, I realized, as my vision focused. "Let me get the doctor." "No need to rush," my mother's voice said from somewhere to my left. "She's probably going to milk this for attention anyway." I tried to turn my head, but agony shot through my neck. "Mom, don't mom me," she snapped. I could see her now, sitting in the corner of the hospital room with her arms crossed. "Do you have any idea what you've done to this family?" "What I've done?" My voice came out as a croak. Vanessa pushed me down the stairs. You provoked her. Dad's voice joined in from the other side of the room. Coming into our house, bragging about money, throwing your success in her face when you know she's planning her wedding. You always have to make everything about you. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My vision blurred with tears. I almost died. I could have broken my neck. But you didn't, Mom said coldly. You never could do anything right, not even falling downstairs. The doctor said, you have a concussion, 3 broken ribs, a fractured collarbone, and a severely sprained wrist. You'll be fine. Vanessa assaulted me. She pushed me. She was upset. Dad interjected. You were being cruel, flaunting your money. After everything we've done for you, raising you, putting a roof over your head, you come home to rub our noses in your good fortune while your sister is trying to plan the most important day of her life. The doctor walked in, a kind-looking woman in her 50s. Miss Jen, you're awake. That's good. You took quite a fall. Can you tell me what you remember? My sister pushed me, I said flatly, looking directly at my parents. She shoved me down the stairs because she was angry I'd made money. That's not what happened, Mom said quickly, standing up. She tripped. She was always clumsy as a child, never watched where she was going. The doctor looked between us, clearly sensing the tension. The important thing is that you're stable. You'll need to stay for observation for at least 48 hours given the severity of your concussion. Do you have someone who can stay with you once you're discharged? We can't, Mom said before I could answer. We have the engagement party to plan. Claire understands that family comes first. Don't you, Claire? I close my eyes, fighting back tears that burn behind my eyelids. Get out. Excuse me. Dad's voice rose. Get out of my room, both of you. Now, after everything we've sacrificed for you, I said, get out. I screamed, and the heart monitor started beeping frantically. Pain exploded in my ribs, but I didn't care. You stood there and watched her push me. You stood there and did nothing, and now you're blaming me for nearly dying. Get out, the doctor intervened. I think it's best if you give your daughter some space to rest. Head trauma patients need calm environments. This is unbelievable, Mom hissed, grabbing her purse. You're going to regret this, Claire. Family is all you have in this world, and you're throwing us away over a misunderstanding. They left, and I sobbed until the nurse came in and adjusted my pain medication. I drifted into a fitful sleep filled with nightmares of falling. The next 2 days passed in a blur of medical tests, physical therapy, consultations, and blessed silence. No family visited, no flowers arrived, no get-well cards appeared on my bedside table. I had never felt more alone. On the 3rd day, my lawyer, Patricia Gaines, showed up unannounced. Patricia was a force of nature in her early 60s, with silver hair cut and a sharp bob and eyes that could dissect a contract at 50 paces. I heard what happened, she said, pulling up a chair beside my bed. The hospital called my office when you listed me as your emergency contact. I didn't know who else to put down, I admitted, shaming over me. Good instinct. Now tell me everything and don't leave out a single detail. I did. I told her about coming home with the news, about Vanessa's rage, about the push, about my parents' reaction. Patricia's expression grew darker with every word. They said you deserved it, she repeated when I finished. After your own sister assaulted you, sending you to the hospital with injuries that could have been fatal, they blamed you. I'm the disappointment, I said bitterly. I always have been. I didn't do beauty pageants. I didn't marry rich. I just worked on my stupid computer projects in my stupid apartment. That stupid computer project is worth $10 million, Patricia said sharply. And those injuries you sustained, they're well documented. The hospital has detailed records. If you want to press charges against Vanessa, I can make that happen. She's my sister. She's your attacker. There's a difference. Patricia leaned forward. Claire, I've been your lawyer for 5 years. I've watched you build CodeStream from nothing. You worked harder than anyone I've ever represented. You deserve better than this. I don't know what to do. Let me handle it. Focus on healing. I'll make some calls. She patted my hand gently. You're not alone in this. You have people who care about you beyond that toxic house you grew up in. After she left, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe it was the pain medication wearing off. Maybe it was clarity finally breaking through years of conditioning. My family had never valued me. They had tolerated me at best, resented me at worst. And now, when I'd finally achieved something extraordinary, they had quite literally tried to bring me down. On the fourth day, my phone rang. It was my mother. "Claire, we're coming to visit this afternoon. 2:00. Be ready. I don't want visitors. Don't be dramatic. Vanessa wants to apologize. We're all going to move past this unpleasantness like adults." She hung up before I could protest. My stomach twisted with anxiety. The last thing I wanted was another confrontation, especially while I was still in a hospital bed, vulnerable and injured. I called Patricia immediately. "They're coming here to apologize," I told her. "My mother said Vanessa wants to make things right." "Do you believe that?" "No. I think they heard about the money again and want to make sure they still have access to it." "Smart girl." I could hear typing in the background. "I'm going to send someone to be there with you, a witness, and maybe a little surprise for your family." "What kind of surprise?" "Trust me, 2:00. You said, well, be there." The hospital moved me to a private room that morning, probably at Patricia's request. By 1:30, I was a bundle of nerves, despite the pain medication. My ribs ached with every breath. My collarbone throbbed. The bruises covering my body had turned spectacular shades of purple and yellow. At exactly 2:00, my family arrived. Mom came in first, dressed like she was going to a luncheon. Dad followed in his golf clothes, and then Vanessa, wearing white jeans and a silk blouse, looking like she just stepped out of a fashion magazine. "There she is," Mom said with false brightness. "Looking better already. I look like I got hit by a truck," I said flatly. "Don't be dramatic," Vanessa chimed in, perching on the edge of the chair. "You always were so sensitive about everything. You pushed me down a flight of stairs." "It was an accident," she said, but her eyes were cold. "You were backing up and I was gesturing, and it all happened so fast. I'm sorry if you feel like I meant to hurt you. If I feel like you meant to hurt me, you literally shoved me. Let's not rehash old arguments," Dad interrupted. "We're here to make amends. Family is important, Claire. More important than money or grudges." "Speaking of money," Mom said, unable to help herself, "have you thought about what you'll do with it? $10 million is a lot to manage on your own. Your father has some excellent investment advisors we could connect you with." There it was, the real reason for their visit. "I have my own financial team." I said, "Of course, but family knows best, and frankly, we're a little hurt that you haven't offered to help with Vanessa's wedding." A daughter who truly loved her family would want to contribute to such a special occasion. "You want me to pay for the wedding of the woman who put me in the hospital? See, this is exactly what we're talking about." Vanessa snapped, her mask slipping. "You're so selfish. This is my time, my special moment, and you're making it all about you and your little fall." "Little fall? I have 3 broken ribs, and you'll heal," Mom said dismissively. "But Vanessa only gets married once. We need to focus on what really matters. You're unbelievable, all of you." I felt tears burning again, but this time they were angry tears. "I almost died, and you're here asking me to fund a wedding. We're not asking for all of it," Dad said. "Just $200,000. That would cover the venue, the catering, the dress, the honeymoon." "It's a reasonable amount considering what you're worth now. Get out. Don't be childish." Mom started. I said, "Get out. You didn't come here to apologize. You came here to manipulate me, to guilt me into giving you money over what Vanessa did to me." "What I did?" Vanessa stood up, her face flushing red again. "You arrogant little." The door opened, and Patricia walked in, followed by a man I recognized immediately. My heart nearly stopped. Marcus Aldridge, CEO of Techor Industries, the company that had acquired CodeStream. He was a legend in Silicon Valley, a billionaire who had built his empire from nothing. He'd been in the acquisition meetings, but hadn't participated much, letting his team handle the negotiations. "I hope we're not interrupting," Patricia said smoothly. "Claire, I brought someone who wanted to check on your recovery." My father's face had gone completely white. "Mr. Aldridge," he stammered. We didn't realize you're Kenneth Willis," Marcus said, his voice cool. "I remember you. You sold me my first office building 15 years ago when I was just starting out. Made quite a commission on that deal, as I recall." "Yes, sir. I was hoping we might reconnect, actually. I have several properties you might be interested in." "I doubt that." Marcus moved to stand beside my bed, and his presence seemed to fill the room. He looked down at me with concern. "How are you feeling, Claire?" "I've been better," I managed to say, completely confused about why he was here. "Patricia called me when she heard what happened. I came as soon as my meetings cleared up." He turned back to my family, his expression hardening. "She tells me your injuries came from a family member." The silence was deafening. "It was an accident," Mom said quickly. "A misunderstanding. A misunderstanding." Marcus crossed his arms. "Interesting way to describe assault. Patricia also tells me that after the assault, you were blamed for what happened and left alone in the hospital." "Family matters are private," Dad said, but his voice shook. "They stop being private when they affect my employees," Marcus said. "Claire isn't just someone who sold me a company. I've been following her work for 2 years. Did you know CodeStream solved a problem that had plagued small businesses for over a decade? That her algorithms were so efficient they reduced project management overhead by 40% on average." My family stared at him blankly. "No, I suppose you wouldn't know that. You were too busy dismissing her as a disappointment." He looked at Vanessa. "You must be the sister, the one who pushed her down the stairs." Vanessa's face went red. It wasn't like that. The hospital records say otherwise. 3 broken ribs, fractured collarbone, severe concussion, multiple contusions. That's not a little fall. That's assault causing serious bodily injury." "She was provoking Vanessa," Mom said desperately. "Bragging about money, being cruel. She was sharing good news with her family." Patricia cut in something any normal family would celebrate. Instead, she was physically attacked, nearly killed, and then emotionally abused while recovering from her injuries. "We didn't," Dad started. "You told her she deserved it," I said quietly, finding my voice. "Those were your exact words? That I deserved to be pushed down the stairs because I had the audacity to succeed?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Mr. Willis, I remember you as a shrewd businessman. So let me put this in terms you'll understand. Claire's work is the foundation of a major expansion tech is planning. We need her sharp, focused, and healthy. Right now, she's in a hospital bed because of your family's actions. That affects my business." "We just came to apologize," Vanessa said weakly. "Really? Because I heard you demanding $200,000 for a wedding. That doesn't sound like an apology." The color drained from Vanessa's face. "You heard that? The room has excellent acoustics." Marcus's smile was razor sharp. "Here's what's going to happen. You're all going to leave. You're not going to contact Claire again unless she initiates it. And if I hear even a whisper that you've harassed her, threatened her, or tried to manipulate her for money, I will make it my personal mission to ensure everyone in your social circles knows exactly what kind of people you are. You can't." Mom started. "I can and I will. I have resources you can't imagine. I can make sure every property you try to sell becomes impossible to move, Mr. Willis. I can ensure that every social club you belong to hears about how you blamed your daughter for being assaulted. I can make your lives very uncomfortable. This is blackmail." Dad blustered. "This is protection," Patricia corrected. "For a woman who's been abused by her family for far too long, consider it an incentive to finally do the right thing and leave her alone." "Claire," Mom said, her voice breaking, "you can't let them do this to us. We're your family." For years, I would have crumbled at that tone. The guilt would have swallowed me whole, but lying in that hospital bed, bruised and broken because my own sister had tried to hurt me and my parents had defended her, something finally clicked into place. "You were never my family," I said clearly. "A family celebrates each other's successes. A family protects each other. A family doesn't blame the victim of assault for being assaulted. You tolerated me, at best. The only reason you're here is because you want access to my money." "That's not true," Vanessa said, but there were no tears in her eyes, only calculation. "Get out," I repeated. "All of you, and don't come back." Marcus moved slightly, positioning himself more prominently beside my bed. The message was clear. I wasn't alone anymore. I had people who actually valued me standing with me. My family filed out in silence, though Mom tried one last guilt trip at the door. "You'll regret this. When you're old and alone, you'll wish you'd valued your family." "I'll take my chances," I said. When they were gone, I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Pain shot through my ribs, but somehow it felt cleaner than before. "I'm sorry you had to witness that. I told Marcus. You didn't need to come here. Patricia shouldn't have bothered you. She didn't bother me, he said, pulling up the chair Vanessa had vacated. I wanted to come. Your work impressed me, Claire. But more than that, I recognize talent when I see it. And I recognize when talented people are being held back by those who should support them. I don't understand. You bought my company. The deal is done. The acquisition is complete. Yes, but I didn't buy CodeStream just for the software. I bought it because I want the mind behind it, working on my next major project. He leaned forward. I'm launching a new division at TechCore focused on AI integration for small businesses. I want you to lead it. I stared at him. Lead it? I've never run a division of a major company. I was just working out of my apartment 6 months ago, and you built something extraordinary from that apartment. You understand what small businesses need because you've lived it. You know how to create elegant solutions to complex problems. That's exactly what this division needs. He smiled. Plus, I have a policy of investing in people who've been underestimated. Something about proving people wrong appeals to me. I'm in a hospital bed with 3 broken ribs. You'll heal. Take your time. The division launch isn't until next quarter. Think about it. He stood up. Patricia has my direct number. Call me when you're ready to discuss details. After he left, Patricia sat down in the same chair. Well, that went better than expected. You planned all of that, I said, still processing everything that had happened. I made a few calls. Marcus had already expressed interest in keeping you on for future projects. When I told him what happened, he wanted to help. Turns out he has his own complicated family history. He understood exactly what you were dealing with. They wanted $200,000 for a wedding. They wanted access to $10 million, Patricia corrected. The wedding was just the opening gambit. If you'd given them that, they would have been back for more. A house, a business investment, a loan that would never be repaid. They saw you as a cash machine, not a daughter. I know. The truth of it settled heavily in my chest. I think I've always known. So, what do you want to do? I thought about it. About years of being dismissed, overlooked, treated as less than. About finally achieving something remarkable and being literally pushed down for it. About my parents defending my attacker because she was the golden child, the one who fit their expectations. I want to press charges, I said firmly, against Vanessa for assault. Patricia smiled. Already drafted the paperwork. The hospital documentation is thorough. Security footage from the entrance shows you arriving uninjured and your family bringing you in unconscious. The police will take your statement whenever you're ready. They'll hate me even more. They already hate you, Claire, or at least they hate what you represent. Someone who succeeded without their approval or support. You might as well protect yourself legally. She was right. The little girl inside me who still craved her parents' approval whimpered in protest, but I silenced her. That little girl had been pushed down the stairs. She had been told she deserved it. She had been asked to fund the wedding of her attacker. Enough was enough. Do it, I said. File the charges. All of them already done. Police should be here tomorrow to take your statement officially. Patricia gathered her papers. One more thing. Your apartment lease is up next month. Maybe consider finding somewhere new, somewhere they don't know about. Running away. Strategic relocation. Big difference. She winked. Besides, $10 million means you can afford a place with actual sunlight and a kitchen that doesn't require tetanus shots. Despite everything, I laughed, then immediately regretted it as pain flared in my ribs. But it felt good. It felt like the first real laugh I'd had in years. The next few weeks were a blur of police statements, legal proceedings, and physical therapy. Vanessa was charged with assault causing bodily harm. She hired an expensive lawyer who tried to make it all go away, but the evidence was overwhelming. The hospital records, the security footage, even a neighbor who heard the commotion and seen my family carrying me to the car. During my second week of recovery at home, I received a package. No return address, but the handwriting on the label looked familiar. Inside was a cheap greeting card, the kind you'd find at a gas station with a generic "Get well soon" message. No signature, just a note scrawled inside. This could all go away if you just be reasonable. Family forgives. Do you? I threw it in the trash without a second thought. My physical therapist, a woman named Dr. Sarah Winters, worked with me 3 times a week. She was patient and kind, never pushing too hard, but refusing to let me give up when the exercises hurt. "You're healing faster than expected," she told me during our 4th session. "Whatever's motivating you, keep holding on to it." "Spite is an excellent motivator," I said, only half joking. She laughed. "I've seen people heal on worse foundations, though I'd recommend finding something more positive long term." Between therapy sessions, I worked remotely with Marcus's team. Even with broken ribs and a healing collarbone, I could still review code, attend video conferences, and contribute to the strategic planning for the new division. The work gave me purpose during hours when I might otherwise have spiraled into self-pity. One afternoon, my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera, a new installation courtesy of Patricia's paranoia, and saw a young woman holding a clipboard. She wore a courier uniform from a service I didn't recognize. "Delivery for Claire Willis," she called out. "Signature required." Something felt off. I called down through the intercom instead of opening the door. "You can leave it outside. I'll sign electronically." "Ma'am, I need a physical signature. Company policy." "Then I guess you'll have to return it to sender." I watched her through the camera. She stood there for a moment, uncertain, then pulled out her phone and made a call. 30 seconds later, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Why won't you accept the delivery?" she demanded. "I sent you something to help with your recovery." "How did you get my new address?" "Don't be paranoid. I'm your mother. Of course I know where you live." Her tone shifted to something meant to sound caring. "I sent you some herbal supplements. Chinese medicine. It'll help with the bone healing." "I don't want anything from you." "Claire, this has gone on long enough. Your father's business is suffering because of the charges against Vanessa. People are talking. Our reputation is being damaged by your vindictiveness." "My vindictiveness?" I laughed bitterly. "She put me in the hospital, and somehow I'm the villain in your story?" "She's going to have a criminal record. Do you understand what that means? Bradley's family is reconsidering the engagement. Her whole future is being destroyed because you won't let go of an accident." "It wasn't an accident. She pushed me with both hands because she was jealous." "Fine." Mom's voice rose sharply. "Maybe she did push you, but you provoked her. You always knew how to push her buttons, even when you were children. You came home with your big news specifically to make her feel small." "I came home to share something important with my family. That's what normal families do. Normal families don't send each other to jail over misunderstandings. Drop the charges, Claire. We can all move past this if you just stop being so stubborn." I hung up. Then I called building security and had them remove the courier from the premises. I also upgraded my security system to require biometric identification for anyone claiming to deliver packages. Patricia called an hour later. "Your mother tried to contact my office. She wants to schedule a mediation." "Absolutely not." "That's what I told her, but she's persistent. She mentioned something about a family trust you should know about." My blood ran cold. "What trust?" "Apparently, your grandmother left a trust fund that was supposed to be split between you and Vanessa when you each turned 30. Your mother seemed to think mentioning it would change your mind about the charges." "I never knew about any trust." "That's because they weren't planning to tell you about it until they needed leverage. I did some digging. The trust is real. Roughly $2 million split evenly between you and Vanessa when each of you turns 30. You turn 30 in 8 months, so your portion becomes available soon. Vanessa won't get hers for another 4 years. Let me guess. If I have a criminal case pending against Vanessa, it complicates the distribution." Bingo. They were hoping to use the trust as a bargaining chip. Drop the charges and you get your half. Maintain them, and they'll tie it up in legal proceedings for years. I thought about my grandmother, my father's mother, who had always been kind to me in her quiet way. She died when I was 22, before CodeStream, before any of my success. She believed in me when no one else did. They've been sitting on this information for 8 years. Seems that way. My guess is they plan to tell you about it eventually, but after the assault, they realized it could be useful leverage. What happens if I don't drop the charges? They can try to contest your share, claim you're acting against family interests. It's a weak argument legally, but it would mean years of probate court. Or... Patricia paused. "You could sue them for withholding information about the trust. That's also grounds for legal action." "I don't want their money. I don't want anything from them. It's not their money. It's your grandmother's money, left specifically for you. Don't let them take that from you, too. Besides, you're entitled to your portion now since you're almost 30. Vanessa's share won't be available for years, so this fight is only about your inheritance." She was right. Grandmother Helen had worked her entire life, saved carefully, invested wisely. She'd wanted to leave something for her granddaughters. Letting my parents weaponize that legacy felt like a betrayal of her memory. What do I need to do? Leave it to me. I'll file a petition for full disclosure of the trust documents and request immediate distribution of your portion. If they want to fight it, they can explain to a judge why they hid a beneficiary's inheritance for 8 years. 2 days later, I received a certified letter from my father's attorney. It was a settlement offer. Drop all charges against Vanessa, sign a non-disclosure agreement about the family incident, and they'd release my portion of the trust immediately, plus an additional $500,000 for pain and suffering. I showed it to Patricia during our next meeting. "It's insulting," she said flatly. "They assault you, blame you for it, hide your inheritance, and now they're offering you money to make it all go away. Your grandmother's trust alone is worth $2 million. CodeStream made you $10 million. You don't need their guilt money. What if I take the trust money and keep the charges in place? They won't agree to that. This is an all-or-nothing offer. Then it's nothing." I signed the rejection letter Patricia had prepared. Move forward with everything. The criminal case, the trust petition, all of it. This is going to get ugly. It's already ugly. At least now I'm fighting back. My parents tried calling. I blocked their numbers. They tried emailing. I set up filters. They even tried showing up at my old apartment, but I'd already moved into a gorgeous loft in Soma with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the bay that made me cry the first time I saw it. 3 months after the incident, Vanessa took a plea deal. She avoided jail time but got 2 years probation, community service, and a restraining order preventing her from contacting me. My parents sent one final email through their lawyer. "You've destroyed this family. We hope you're satisfied with your revenge." The trust fund battle took another 4 months. My parents fought hard, claiming I was acting against family interests, that Grandmother Helen wouldn't have wanted the money going to someone who had betrayed the family. They presented no evidence because none existed. Grandmother Helen's will was crystal clear, $1 million to each granddaughter upon reaching age 30. Mine was due in a matter of months. The judge was not impressed with their arguments. "Let me understand this correctly," Judge Morrison said during the final hearing. "You withheld information about this trust for 8 years, only revealing it when you needed leverage against your own daughter in a criminal case where her sister was charged with assault." My father's lawyer stammered through a weak explanation about protecting family assets and waiting for the right time. "The right time was 8 years ago," the judge said sharply, "when the beneficiary turned 22 and should have been informed of her inheritance. I'm ordering immediate distribution of Ms. Willis's portion of the trust, plus interest accrued over the 8 years it was improperly withheld. Furthermore, I'm imposing sanctions on the estate for this deliberate concealment." I walked out of that courthouse with my grandmother's gift finally in my hands. It wasn't about the money. I had plenty now. It was about honoring her memory and refusing to let my parents steal one more thing from me. Patricia took me to lunch afterward. "How does it feel?" "Like closing a chapter I should have closed years ago." I raised my glass of sparkling water. "Thank you for everything. You did the hard part. I just filed the paperwork." She clinked her glass against mine. "Now, let's talk about your future. Marcus mentioned you're considering expanding the AI division internationally." We spent the rest of lunch discussing business, and it felt right, moving forward instead of looking back, building instead of fighting. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. I hadn't sought revenge. I had simply stopped accepting abuse. TechOr's new AI division launched 6 months later with me as its head. The press release made waves in the tech world. Claire Willis, founder of CodeStream, to lead TechOr's groundbreaking small business AI initiative. Several articles mentioned my young age, my bootstrap success story, my vision for making advanced technology accessible to companies of all sizes. Not one mentioned my family. They had been erased from my narrative as thoroughly as they'd tried to erase my achievements from theirs. A year after the acquisition, I attended a tech conference in Austin. During a panel on women in technology, someone in the audience asked how I'd overcome obstacles in my career. I thought about my answer carefully. "The biggest obstacle I faced wasn't technical," I said. "It was believing I deserved success. I grew up in an environment where my achievements were dismissed, where my ambitions were mocked. I spent years seeking approval from people who would never give it. The turning point came when I stopped trying to prove myself to the wrong audience and started valuing my own voice. The audience applauded. After the panel, several young women came up to thank me for my honesty. One told me her family didn't support her computer science degree. Another said her parents wanted her to give up coding to focus on finding a husband. Don't give up, I told them. Your value isn't determined by people who can't see it. Sometimes the family you build is more important than the family you're born into. Later that night, I video called Marcus to debrief about the conference. Our working relationship had evolved into something like friendship, though he maintained professional boundaries. You're becoming quite the inspiration, he said with an approving smile. That panel quote is already trending on Twitter. I just told the truth. The truth resonates. By the way, our division just signed its 100th client. We're ahead of all projections. The board is thrilled. That's because we actually understand what small businesses need. We've been there. Exactly why I wanted you leading this. He paused. I heard through the grapevine that your sister got married last month. Small ceremony. Nothing like the country club extravaganza she wanted. Good for her, I guess. I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just indifference. I hope she's happy. You really mean that? I do. Her happiness or misery has nothing to do with me anymore. She made her choices. I made mine. We talked for a while longer about work, about industry trends, about the new features we were developing. When we hung up, I walked to the window of my loft and looked out at the city lights. $10 million had changed my life, but not in the way I'd expected. The money was nice. The financial security was incredible. But the real gift had been clarity. That moment in the hospital when my parents told me I deserved to be pushed down the stairs, that had shattered every illusion I'd been clinging to about family love and obligation. Some people might call what I did to my family revenge, pressing charges, cutting them off, moving forward without them. But it wasn't revenge. Revenge would have been trying to hurt them, to bring them down to my level of pain. Instead, I'd simply removed them from my life and built something better. I found my own people, Patricia, Marcus, my team at Techor, the community of entrepreneurs and developers who understood my journey. I created a chosen family based on mutual respect instead of obligatory blood ties. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Despite my better judgment, I opened it. Your father had a heart attack. He's in the hospital. Mom thinks you should know. I stared at the message for a long time. The old Claire would have rushed to the hospital, guilt-ridden and desperate to help. She would have set aside her own pain to be the dutiful daughter one more time. But I wasn't that Claire anymore. I deleted the message without responding. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe some people would say I should have gone, should have been the bigger person. But those people hadn't been pushed down the stairs by their sister. They hadn't been told they deserved it by their parents. They hadn't been asked to fund a wedding after being hospitalized. I had paid my dues to that family in years of trying to earn love that was never freely given. I owed them nothing more. 2 years after the acquisition, CodeStream's technology had been integrated into 15 different Techor products. The AI division I led had expanded to 300 employees across 5 cities. We'd won industry awards, been featured in major publications, and changed how thousands of small businesses operated. And I had finally learned what I should have known all along. Success is sweeter when you're surrounded by people who genuinely want you to succeed. I still think about them sometimes, my blood family. I wonder if they ever realized what they lost when they chose to diminish me instead of celebrate me. I wonder if Vanessa ever thinks about those stairs, about how a moment of rage and jealousy changed both our lives forever. But mostly, I don't think about them at all. I'm too busy building something extraordinary,